Are you feeling overwhelmed again? I know it's so frustrating to be back in this place, but it's a symptom. Being overwhelmed, feeling overwhelmed is a symptom of a very important hidden block to success, which is that you can't differentiate. You don't prioritize. You say yes to everything. You're afraid to say no, and you have real FOMO, fear of missing out. So you don't know when to say yes and when to say no. So you end up with too much on your plate, having done too many favors, said yes to too many people, and before you know it, you're back to this place of feeling overwhelmed. Welcome to Success Tapping with Carol. Look, I'm your host, and I'm glad you're here. Please feel free to subscribe, like, or share. So if the symptom is being and feeling overwhelmed, we need to go underneath it to the hidden block to success, which I think in this case is the fear of saying no because you have the fear of missing out. So then you get too busy, take on too many projects. So if I asked you right now, how bad is your FOMO? How bad is your fear of missing out if you don't say yes to everything? Can you measure that? Some people won't be able to, and that's all right. But if you think you have FOMO, fear of missing out, go ahead and measure it. And if the thought of saying no to certain people or certain projects triggers that in you, go ahead and measure that anxiety or distress, and we'll tap on it. Side of the hand. Even though I have this terrible fear of missing out, and it's a hidden block to success, I accept who I am and how I feel. Even though I have this deep fear of missing out, and it makes me overwhelmed, I accept who I am and how I feel. Eyebrow. I'm afraid of missing out. Side of the eye. No wonder I won't say no. Under. No wonder I never say no. Under the nose. I'm afraid of missing out. Chin. Don't I have to say yes to everything? Collarbone. I feel anxious that I might miss out. Under the arm. I have such bad FOMO. Top of the head. No wonder I say yes to everything and then get overwhelmed. Good. Take a breath. How's that feeling now? Your anxiety that if you say no, you'll miss out. The FOMO in general, 0 to 10, how does that feel? Let's do another one. Side of the hand. Even though I still feel so afraid I'm going to miss out. No wonder I get overwhelmed. I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even though I'm really afraid I'm going to miss out. And it makes me so anxious. I accept who I am and how I feel. Eyebrow. I'm afraid I'm going to miss out. Side of the eye. I feel so anxious. Under the eye. No wonder I feel overwhelmed again. Under the nose. I can't say no. Chin point. I have to say yes to everything. Collarbone. I'm afraid I'm going to miss out. Under the arm. No wonder I got too busy and overwhelmed again. Top of the head. This fear and anxiety of missing out is really strong. Good. Take a breath. Measure again. 0 to 10. I'm afraid I'll miss out. I have to say yes to everything. I can't skip anything. I can't miss anything. So that fear, if it's really strong for you, go ahead and redo this round. Tap some more on it. Keep thinking about experiences, scenarios that you might say no to, and do they make you feel anxious? Does that make you feel upset at the thought of saying no? But that's the main feeling that then produces saying yes to everybody and every project, and before you know it, you're overwhelmed again. You simply have too much on your plate. Now let's move to a belief. So it's slightly different. The belief is, I'm going to miss my chance, right? It'll be bad for me if I don't say yes to everything. So this conviction or belief, I'm going to miss out and it'll be bad for me. See if you can measure that 0 to 10. Think of something that you want to say yes to, or you've already said yes to because you can't say no to it, right? And this is different from guilt about saying no. Right? So think of that item, that project, that invitation, and think of that belief. Oh, I can't say no because if I do, it'll be terrible for me. I'll miss out. I won't get the chance. If that's measurable for you, 0 to 10, go ahead. If not, don't worry about it. We'll just tap on it. Here we go. We're tapping on the belief. Even though I'm convinced that if I say no, I'll really miss out, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I deeply believe that I can't say no, what if I miss something important? I accept who I am and how I feel. Eyebrow. What if I miss something important? Side of the eye. I'm convinced I can't say no. Under the eye. No wonder I'm so overwhelmed again. Under the nose. I can't say no. Chin point. I can't say no. Collarbone. My belief is there's no way to say no. Under the arm. It could hurt me. Top of the head. If I say no, it might be bad for me. Good. Take a breath. See if there's any way to measure that again. I can't say no. I'm convinced I can't say no. It would be bad for me. So no wonder you collect all these items and all these projects and all these invitations and people because you're so afraid you're going to miss out. You're not just afraid. That was the first tapping sequence. You're convinced you're going to miss out and it will be bad for you on some level. Let's do one more on that side of the hand. Even though I'm still convinced I'll miss out if I say no, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even though I'm still convinced that if I say no, I'll miss out on something big, I accept who I am and how I feel. Eyebrow. I'm afraid I'll say no and miss out. Side. I'm afraid it'll be really bad for me. Under the eye. What if I say no and I do miss out? Under the nose. No wonder I can't say no. I see how this is a hidden block to my success. I just can't say no. I'm afraid I'll miss out. Under the arm. I'm convinced if I say no, it'll be bad for me. Top of the head. I'm afraid to say no because it'll be bad for me. Good. Take another breath. And if you were able to measure 0 to 10, how true that feels to you, that conviction, that belief, go ahead and measure again. If it hasn't changed, no worries. Keep tapping on this, but you have to see this connection, the fear of missing out. Then there's the belief, conviction that you're going to miss out if you don't say yes to everything. Then you end up with too much on your plate, exhausted, tired, and overwhelmed again. So if we talked about your next yes, what would be your next yes? I'm sorry to give you this assignment, but it's going to be to say no to something. It's going to be to evaluate your yes and no inside, tap on your fear and say, I've decided to say no to this one invitation. I know it's a hard assignment, but you've got to work that muscle. You've got to build in some reps here of saying no to a few things, not everything, right? Not the biggest thing you think has come along, right? Which we could tap on that as well. But you need to practice saying no to something and feel the feelings and go ahead and tap on them. What we'll do now is end with a gratitude tapping round. All right, so go right to the eyebrow. I'm grateful that I'm learning to say no. Side. I feel appreciative that I'm starting to say no. Under the eye. I'm not going to miss out on that much. Under the nose. I want balance back in my life. Chin point. I appreciate that I'm learning to say no. Collarbone. I'm grateful that I know how to say no now. Under the arm. I'm so grateful that I'm learning how to say no. Top of the head. And I'm not missing out on anything. And I appreciate that. Good. Take a breath. Good. So go back and keep tapping on the fear and the belief and anything else that comes up around FOMO and how that leads to you're being overwhelmed, overbusy, right? Possibly on the verge of burnout. All right. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and share. And if you'd like to learn more about my best-selling books and the coaching work I do, please go to carollook.com/success. Thanks again.